Like I used to wake up as a child, like speaking light language. I didn't know what that was. I just thought that was weird. Like I'd wake up, right? I'd wake up because I was so loud, and I'd wake up and I'd be sitting up in the bed speaking an unknown language. And I just thought, what is that? I used to go out and do CE5s and calling in the interdimensionals, extraterrestrials, calling in anything that wasn't human, basically, just wanting to mix it up. And I went for a QHHT session, and I was saying to her, like, I'm going up a mountain with a group of people. I don't know what their intentions are. So I hope we're going to get the good ETs, And she said, but that's so much effort. She said, like, it's the middle of winter, you're up a mountain, it's minus something, your fingers are freezing, and it's kind of scary. Why don't you just close your eyes and go and meet them on the inside? Years ago, maybe 20 years ago, I was listening to a guy called Ian Clayton, and he was teaching by location. And so you're physically seen in another location. You're not more so than just a person having an experience in life. There's just something so much more that we can't really put our finger on, but it's right there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fucking magic. It's magic. Isn't it? Like, not as in magic, but it's just the most beautiful thing. And it's also quite overwhelming at the same time.
And it's experiences like this that are walking you along the path to where you ultimately find the question that you're going to go deeper into yourself for. Do I have a choice of where I go when I die?
I had no interest. And when I was dying, I just thought, well, I just leave this place and go somewhere else. But the documentary horrified me. And I thought, wow, maybe I got that wrong. Like maybe I should be worried. And I just had one question. And so she said, okay, that's fine. So when we went into the session, it was a very unusual experience because I went right in. I just listened to her voice, totally trusted. I went right in, and there was like, say if I got two postcards, one of Spain and one of the desert, and I tore them both in half and I put them together like two different scenes,
Mhm.
totally different. I went into a place where there was two different scenes. And she said, well, which one are you going to pick? And I said, I'll pick the barren one. The other one looks like a very colorful place. And I said, no, the barren one. And I was this little insect being on a consciousness machine. And I'd never really kind of been that interested in anything like that. So that was really widely opened me up to different versions of what we are now, parallel worlds. But she said to me, you got your question answered because the moment you left and you went on this journey, you had a choice. So you're going to have a choice when you leave your body. And I'm like, okay.
I
And
noticed in the first year that I started going out that I would have these two types of experiences. One where I was sort of on my own and, coming across these ridiculously comical situations in which I kept pushing and failing in the experience. And the other, which, was like when I was accompanied. And when I was accompanied, when my higher being was there rather doing the driving, everything, went real smoothly. I went really far out, all this other kind of stuff. The OBE was easy, it was effortless. I could just go for the ride and observe. And life is like that too. We can either, focus the attention, get to that still point, allow what is behind us to come into our experience and ride the wave of that, or we can leave it behind and focus fully to the front and flap about and fall down and get hurt and go through all of this. And for a period of time, we're meant to. We're meant to do that so that we can come back into the awareness that there is something behind us and to again begin to let that back into our life experience. And it's a process. Do you keep a log of your meditations?
here we go. Here's the teacher. No, I don't.
Well, if you really want to push yourself,
I know I do sometimes. If I have in a different experience, I love it.
here's the thing. It's very challenging to conceptualize data in expanded states if you don't begin writing them down. So it's like
Mhm.
when you wake up from a dream, unless you conceptualize it in your mind in a way that lets you write it down, it keeps being ephemeral. You know,
Yeah.
there's something going on in there when you're in that state, but you don't know what it is. It's too ephemeral for you to touch. You actually have to use your cognitive faculties to start to put words on it, even some of it, even one aspect of it. This will begin to break you in on the visuals that you're actually observing in there. You're just not cognizing the fact that you are yet. That's what I had to bring in, and I brought it in last,
Mhm.
was the cognitive faculty. And so, yeah, that takes conceptualization and writing them down. And then
Yeah.
as you do that, it begins happening more and more easily.
Become the observer and the witness at the same time. And I'm doing that for the next 6 months because that's a commitment. I've never wanted to. I did it years ago, and then you're like, well, what's the point? I never read back on these things ever.
Reading back on them is important also down the line. Because day one, when you begin a practice, you're right at ground zero. You're standing right up on the wall. So close to the wall you can't see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you write down one practice session worth of information,
Mhm.
you don't really see much, right? But now at the end of the week, you see a larger data set.
Yeah.
End of the month, an even larger data set. And then at the end of 6 months and the end of a year. I
Yeah.
mean, you can see a much larger picture when you're looking at the year. So it's really interesting to go back into the logs and read a large span of time. So you can
Yeah.
see a larger things begin to make more sense because with one practice, again, you might be getting the hair of the tail of the elephant, and through other ones, you're getting the ear and the eye, and then, but when you take them in all together, you're getting the elephant. You're like, oh, of
If
course.
I'm kind of in and out, I'm half foot in, half foot out, and I'm very casual about it, and I don't give it enough credit because it's just there. The information I need is there, and I can do stuff real quick. But documenting and over the years, um, the voices, the higher self, whatever that is, would say, write it down, and I go, why? What's the point? Because I'm just going to have another experience later. Why do I have to write all them down? My consciousness knows, and I'd have these debates, but I regret it now.
Do it and you'll see why. Don't do it and
I
you won't see why. It's like the people who
no.
say, oh, well, why meditate? Why do I need to do that? I already know that it's important or that I need to. I can just do it when I'm doing my living. Formal practice isn't really necessary. You can hear it, right? But
Uh-huh.
when you stop resisting it, I mean, if you're really ready to go the
Yeah.
distance now,
Oh, I am.
and if you're not, you won't start writing down.
Yeah.
But if you really are, then you will. It,
Yeah.
it it'll feel natural. It'll feel, yes, this is the right thing to start doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
And
Love
it
it.
remembers things. It's interesting how our memory works. One, if we don't repeat things, we tend to forget.
Yeah.
So you can have a mind-blowing out-of-body experience, not write it down, never share it, never repeat what happened in the experience, and it's gone. Just like what we did 2 weeks ago at 2 o'clock in the afternoon is gone.
I know.
So what the journal does, it's an actual body.
Hmm.
It's an additional body. We're going to extend our body to to include
Lovely.
this. And it's going to hold the data for us.
Love that.
Okay. It's going to embody what happened right here in 3D physical space for us. Come back and read it again in a week, in 3 months. The things that happen in our daily life, we tend to repeat and share with other people.
Mhm.
Portions of it will make sense in the moment of what's happening right there in life, right?
Yeah.
And so that gets us speaking it. Yes. And now we're bringing it even more into the world. We're not just writing it down, we're speaking it. Yes. Now, if we record that conversation, we have another log. You know how many things I remember differently when I'm just off the cuff saying it to somebody than when I go back and look at my logs?
Really.
Yeah, especially with
Really?
timeline or time flow of something. This happened before this. Anyway, yeah, we start to remember things wrong.